if they are not going to get anything out of it. But if it is company like BHEL, where basically there's potential, good potential, people will buy it. So this investment can happen only where the investors are likely to get some kind of value addition or market capitalization down the line. And the government also is not able to sell off the loss making units so far. So what the government is doing is they are trying to sell off part of the equity from those units which are doing reasonably well. So you'll find State Bank, there are takers, Corporation Bank, there are takers, BHEL, there are takers. But Hindustan Antibiotics in Pune, for example, there are no takers because people are not sure if they put their money, they will get something in return kind of thing. So that's the basic policy of the investor. Now you want to sell something, agreed, but if the other person is not willing to pay the price that you want, obviously the transaction will not happen. So it has to be mutual. That is something that needs to be kept in mind when we talk of the disinvestment part of it. Okay. Can I move to the insurance sector now? Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So then we talked about the banking, and as I was saying, we concluded by saying that banks are moving away from plain vanilla lending to commerce and industry. And we also said that it is not just a bank, it is now a one-stop financial services super shop. So, all those, you talk of merchant banking, you talk of lease, you talk of hire purchase,
So what's the meaning
you
of
talk
vanilla
of
lending?
consulting, all these services have come up, which we'll talk when you talk about banking in the section B of our discussion, which Mr. Rahul was to take. I will talk about these financial services next time. Enough to say right now that in terms of reforms, the banks are moving away from just deposit and loan institutions to providing all kinds of financial services. So actually, the industry is moving from just banking services to financial services, which is a broader and a larger context kind of thing. Let us touch upon the insurance part of it. Now, as we said, all of us know there was a committee appointed by the government for the banking known as Narsimham Committee. Similarly, for the insurance sector, there was a committee appointed under the chairmanship of Mr. Malhotra, who was also, by the way, ex-RBI governor and ex-finance secretary, Government of India. And all the reforms which have taken place in the insurance sector are in tune with the recommendations made by Narsimhan Committee. Now, basically, as we said, the whole LPG is about opening up, and same thing happened in insurance sector also. I repeat again, we talk of the detailed measures when we talk of the insurance sector in detail in section B. But from the reforms point of view, let us note that what has happened is earlier there was a monopoly of LIC. So, if you want to have life insurance, you can get it only from Life Insurance Corporation because no other company was entitled or permitted to sell life insurance. Similarly, when it came to general insurance, like vehicle and property and theft, only GIC, which has 4 subsidiaries, again a public sector undertaking, was entitled to provide general insurance corporation. So the insurance sector has now been opened up and new private sector players have now been allowed post Malhotra committee recommendations. So today you find say HDFC, then you find ICICI Prudential, you find Japanese companies coming in. You find even State Bank has moved into the insurance part of it. A lot of other we all Max New York is there, for example. So we have a lot of other companies coming in, new companies coming in. That is thanks to the basic reform that is opening up of insurance sector. And then obviously not only the sector was opened up, as it happened in other sectors, industry particularly, banks particularly, insurance sector also we welcome players from abroad and they could come with what is known as the FDI part of it. So foreign equity was also allowed to be brought into the Indian insurance sector. Initially it was 24%, then 49%, now 74%, and there's to move that uh, they can have 100% equity down the line, but it should take some time. But reform is firstly, new private sector companies allowed both life insurance as well as general insurance. Then these insurance companies, because they are coming from abroad, they are allowed to bring in FDI to set up their own insurance companies. And along with that, the government has also set up a very strong and effective insurance regulatory authority in India, which is also part of the reforms brought in. Then you'll also find that earlier LIC had relatively limited products, and out of those limited products also the agents, today we call them investment advisors or insurance advisors, the actually agents were selling only those policies where they will get the maximum commission. So, again, just look from the market and customer orientation point of view. I am paying the premium, so I should get what benefits me most. What was actually being thrust upon me was what suited the agent most, because his concern was not the customer, his concern was the commission that he will be getting out of the premium paid by the customer. So now one of the reform that has happened, additional reform that has happened, is that new customized products are being developed. What you call productization, as you call it. New customer specific products are now being developed. Then people are also investing in what is known as improving customer service. CRM is part of that. Plus, because of this new opening up, there has been transfer of technological and managerial know-how in the insurance sector also, because most of the Western companies, they are operating in an extremely competitive environment. And obviously, if they're operating competitive environment, you got to know the customer, you got to innovate. All these things are now happening in the Indian insurance sector also. Then, of course, as I said, because opened up, additional FDI has started coming in. Capital has been raised now, and there also has been, if I may say, a creation of beneficial domestic spillovers. Like now, even the banks have started offering you insurance. What do you call bank assurance? We call it. So you will find in like Axis Bank, for example, quite a few private sector banks. State Bank is doing that. Quite a few banks have started offering insurance along with their products. So idea is, there will be more penetration. Like earlier, before opening up 91, 92, almost 75% of the people in India were not insured. So they were not covered. That means 25% covered. Idea of opening up is more and more insurance companies should come in. There should be more what is known as insurance penetration, insurance density. Just remember these two terms. I will explain these in detail down the line. So these are the basic insurance reforms that have been brought in. And please remember, they have been possible thanks to the Mehrotra committee, which was appointed to suggest measures for improvement in the insurance sector. Next, of course, comes, we are talking of financial sector. So you cannot think of reforms in financial sectors without the capital market and the money market, of course. The two basic things. First is capital market is basically a source for long-term funds for the industry, business organizations, and money market is short-term basically for players in the financial sector. Now, before I move further, let me just touch upon what is meant by the capital market. Okay. Now, as we say, the capital market is basically a mechanism or instrument, as we call it, which helps enterprises to mobilize long-term fund. Long-term means what? You need equity. You need, say, now we have debentures. Earlier, they were not there. So the moment you need equity, there has to be a mechanism where you'll be able to come out and people will invest. Now, earlier you will find, before the reforms, most of the capital market transactions were more concentrated in Bombay than in Kolkata. They were two major stock exchanges, as you call it. That means not many people were actually investing in the capital market because they were simply not aware. Plus, stock exchanges had their own way of doing the thing earlier. Most, if I may say so, without sounding any bias, most of the trading and investment and counseling and broking in the stock market and the capital market was more or less community based. And basically what I mean is that most of these stock exchanges and this kind of mobilizing new capital was more or less confined to the partly Parsis, partly the Gujaratis, and the what you call the Marwadis part of it. So it was basically community based, and obviously there were certain unhealthy practices where the transactions were done on a very private, secretive basis kind of thing. So primary market, as I said, basically capital market, as I said, gives you long-term funds for the investment in industry, business organizations, and there are two types. One is known as the primary capital market. Second is the long-term. Primary is where you come with IPO. Whenever equity or share capital is introduced in the market and sold for the first time, then it is the primary capital. That's what you call initial public offering, as you call it. Then what happens, Infosys comes with shares 92, 93 IPO. Then I didn't subscribe, for example, in 92, 93. Then I purchased 94, 95. That becomes secondary part of it, where the stock exchanges come into picture. So typically, capital market, A, it is a market which helps to mobilize funds for the long term for business organizations. Secondly, it is divided in two categories: primary market, initial offering, as you call it; secondary market, where the sales actually happen from one entity to another. So this is, as you could see, the typical structure of capital market. One is the primary market for IPO. Then you got secondary market where there's cash market, derivatives, then there are regulators, exchange, stock exchanges. The typical structure of the capital market, as we could see. Now, why we require capital market? Any country, you will find that most of the developed countries, the capital market is pretty strong. Basically, capital market, again, we are talking from economic environment. So from the economic point of view, industrial development point of view, economic development point of view, capital market is useful because it helps mobilize savings of the people and channelize that into investment, thereby accelerating capital formation. As we know, without capital formation, investment will not happen. Without investment, industries will not happen. Without industries, jobs will not be created. No jobs, no income, no savings. So it's a vicious cycle. So capital market actually helps you to move to what is known as the higher level of economic activity. So first is mobilization of savings, that into capital market. Then of course, promotion of economic and industrial growth, raising of long-term capital. And then it provides, both liquidity, because I want to sell something, I can sell it. If there's no capital market, I will not be able to sell it. So it provides me a ready and continuous market, liquidity also. Plus the funds are properly channelized. And of course, we can also have n number of services from the capital markets. So brokers are there, underwriters are there, lead bankers are there, collecting bankers. There are n number of things which happen. So capital market plays a very important role, basically for prompting people to save and channelize these savings into investment. This in turn accelerate the pace of economic development. So capital market has a very sterling role to play. Now, typically what happened was, as I said, before 1919, it was very limited activity, concentrated mostly in the metros, and that too more into Bombay and Kolkata. Delhi had slowly started emerging subsequently, but they were playing a limited role which had to be expanded. And therefore, the capital market reforms were introduced post 1991 as part of financial sector reforms. Now, what were the reforms typically? As I said, you need capital. So earlier, you needed to take permission from a government regulator, which was known as Controller of Capital Issues. This CCI, today CCI means Competition Commission of India. I am talking of Controller of Capital Issues, old one. So they will, I want to come with, I have a company, I want to go with IPO. So they will decide what is the price that I will charge in the market, what is the premium I can charge. These things were actually decided by the government, and me as a private player, I had to accept it. One of the major reform was that the government simply abolished this particular office of the Controller of Capital Issues itself. What was, I can come with my issue. I can decide at what price my issue should be offered in the market. Like, TCS, for example, the face value of the share is 1 rupee. And when they came to market, they came with an offer of, they called it band. The offer was between, from 1 rupee face value, they asked for 845 to 875. This was something, earlier they say 1 rupee share, you will not be allowed to have more than 5 rupees in the market. So now this is what has happened. So pricing was left to the private player which is coming into the market. Then we also had what is known as the institutional part. We had SEBI earlier in 1988. The SEBI was given a statutory mandatory status in 1992, and the basic task was protection for the investors, then development of capital market, and ensuring that the capital market was working as per certain rules and systems orientation. Then you'll also find that post 1991, as I said earlier, the whole transaction in capital market, stock exchange were more personal. A lot of secrecy also was there. In fact, it's all discretion and no system. So they brought in technology, and for the first time, we had two technology-based stock exchanges. One, of course, is a national stock exchange. Second is the OTCI, over-the-counter exchange of India, which was basically meant not for big people like Tata's or Birla's or Reliance. It was basically what you call the medium and small companies, which also come in the capital market. So first was SEBI was set up 1992. Mandatory. It was set up in 1988. It was given a mandatory role and status in 1992. Then National Stock Exchange (OTCI) was set up. Technology was brought in. Idea was to remove the discretion and secrecy. So there was a move to computerize stock exchanges to ensure transparency. Then, as we know, there are volatility. Like volatility means what? Today, when the market opens, the share is valued say 150. Then either it starts moving to say 80, 70, or it can move to 200, 250. So this sudden change leads to what is known as volatility. So government didn't want this kind of volatility, so they brought in a principle as part of regulation known as circuit breakers. So if the prices start moving either upwards or downwards by more than 10, 15%, the trading in that particular script will be stopped. So the volatility and unhealthy speculation, what you call the bulls and the bears, will not be allowed to influence the market. So computerization of stock exchanges and circuit breakers or another reforms. Then there also used to be, what is known as insider trading, as you call it. See, I know somebody in the Bajaj family, I know somebody in the Ambani family. So I know that Reliance people are trying to come with, say, refinery. And they are working with the government to get a permission. And I also know that the government has agreed in principle. Now, the moment I come to know about this, I know that the Reliance shares will flare up in the market. So what I'll do, slowly, I will start purchasing the shares because I am having that inside information. It happened in Infosys. When some people in Infosys came to know that Mr. Murthy will be coming back again, because they had inside information, they started purchasing shares of Infosys. And the moment Mr. Murthy came back, the share prices simply shot up. So these people actually gained a lot of money because they had that inside information, and there was this kind of insider trading available. So the government and the SEBI set up mechanism to ensure that this kind of insider trading will not happen, because that gives undue advantage by having access of privileged people to financially sensitive information. That is another reform. Then, of course, as we have said in other areas, the FDI was not there basically. FII was allowed to be brought into the capital market. Then they also allowed new players known as merchant bankers and foreign brokers. These are new services, as you said, part of financial services. These new services came. Merchant bankers, they will help you to underwrite, they will help you prepare the prospectus, they will help you to get approval from, say, vetted, as we call it. So all these kind of services were available, which were not available easily in the earlier pre-1991 scenario, as we call it. So as you also, now capital market, as I said, you need capital, you need different instruments. Earlier it was only share capital, equity basically. Then you had debentures. Now you will find that a lot of new instruments also have been brought in the capital market as part of these reforms. Now all of us know debentures, all of us know mutual fund, even private mutual funds have been allowed, which is again part of reforms into the capital market, because ultimately mutual funds, they mobilize savings. And where do they invest? As we know, most of them invest, the corpus is invested into capital market, stock market. They are one of the major players. LIC, UTI, most of these mutual funds were major investment players, as we call it. So venture funds were allowed. Private equity also was allowed to be brought in. So new instruments, new players were allowed to be allowed in the capital market, part of reforms. Then they also allowed Indian NBFCs, what you know, a non-banking financial company. Like, HDFC Bank is a bank, and only HDFC Housing Finance is a non-banking financial company. Or Kotak Mahindra earlier was an NBFC. Now Kotak Mahindra is a bank. So non-banking financial companies like ICICI was a non-banking financial company. HDFC was a non-banking financial company. So these actually NBFCs, non-banking financial companies, were allowed to have tie-up with global players. So now you have something like JP Morgan, we have and Kothari from Chennai, they had association. So this FDI was allowed to be brought in. FII was allowed to be brought in the stock market. Then they also allowed Indian companies as part of capital market reform to mobilize funds abroad. Like some of you must have heard of what you call ADR, American deposit receipts, or global deposit, external commercial borrowing, then foreign currency convertible bonds. All these were allowed to be raised as part of reforms in both the financial sector, foreign exchange, as well as the capital market. So these were some of the major capital market reforms. Like just as a proud Indian, let me tell you, when I was there in the Times Square, New York, Times Square, you got the Nasdaq office. So in the Nasdaq, actually, just as you got Bombay Stock Exchange, you can see that prices moving. Nasdaq also, you see those, companies and prices moving. So then, you feel really proud out there standing in the Times Square in New York, looking at that Nasdaq, where you see Infosys, you see Wipro, you see TCS. Now, this was allowed as part of reform. Earlier, there was no way an Indian company would be able to raise resources abroad. Now, one of the reasons, of course, is the competitive, because in India that time I had to borrow from money banks 18%. Outside, I can get this ADR, GDR at anywhere between 1.5 to 2.5. So lower cost and competitiveness. Don't forget these aspects when you talk of reforms. So these are the basic major reforms into capital market. Are we with me? Can I move further? Okay. Then, as I said, new instruments, bonds, debentures, warrants, private mutual fund, private equity, venture capital, futures and options, and new services like portfolio management, merchant banking, also credit rating is another part of it. So these are the new services and new products and instruments brought in as part of capital market reforms. Can I move further? Okay. Adnan?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What I'll do is I'll touch upon the market, money market reforms, and then if time permits, we'll have some question answers. Otherwise, we'll take a break and start another session. Okay, now check this. Now, as I said, as you know, capital market is long term, money market is basically short term. The short term means what? Like LIC, for example, you will find LIC means insurance company, any insurance company. LIC because people like me are used to LIC, so LIC. Now, what happens? Most of us, olden times, you will find that quite a few people will get the insurance policy only in the last quarter, that is January to March. Now, what happens suddenly, if LIC over the year is getting insurance premium, as you call it, of say roughly about 24,000 for the whole year, then out of this 24,000 crore premium, the LIC will be getting some anywhere between around 6 to 8,000 crores more than that in one quarter only. So it will not be, 3, 5,000, 5,000. Suddenly in the last quarter, if I get 10,000 or 8,000, what do I do? So, I need to park, as we call it, park these funds temporarily. Or banks, like suddenly their crop farmers get a deposit. So suddenly farmers will bring that deposit or cash deposit into the bank. They will get, where do they? Because, they only get deposit. They can't deploy in the market immediately. So till the time I get avenues for long-term deployment of funds, I need to park them somewhere. Otherwise, it becomes liability. I have to pay interest. I don't get interest. So money market basically enables to both. Basically allows people or institutions mainly who have surplus to deploy that for a short term. And short term could be, like overnight, 3 days. There's something to call money also. I give you money and then I give call, boss, I want the money back. So this call money, notice money. We'll talk about this as we go along. So typically what happens is money market is the market which provides avenues for short term deployment of funds, or, the popular parlance we call it parking of funds for a short period. Like, garage, my car stays. But when I go outside, say I come to Pumba, I park my vehicle. When I come home, I put my car in garage. So parking is basically short term, if I may put it this way. Okay. Now, as I said, money market is what? Capital market is long term. Money market is basically a mechanism whereby the short-term loanable or surplus funds are deployed, and the period, as I said, it can be ranging anywhere from overnight, 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 1 week, 15 days, to less than a year. That's the important part of it. Anything short-term is basically anything that can be converted into cash within a span of 364 days. Okay, it's not complete of 1 year. So overnight up to year 364 days. And on the other, lenders, that is people who have surplus funds, they succeed in getting credit-worthy borrowers for their money because they are parking it out there. And what are the typical reforms? Just as in banking, there were the interest rates were controlled. Similarly, the interest rates are also controlled by the RBI in the money market. So one of the major reforms that happened was deregulation of interest rates. So I will decide. I'm decide the rate that I'll be charging. RBI will not dictate me. So deregulation of interest rates was one major reform. Then, as we know, there is also what is known as private money market mutual fund. Mutual funds generally for long term. Most of us will invest long term. Now they allowed money market mutual funds so that they will get institutional funds and they'll be able to deploy that in the money market on a large scale kind of thing. Okay. So the in liquidity discount of my sales will be after 2 months or 1 month. Now I need money earlier, so I'll go to bank. I already have 1 week gone, so for 3 weeks the bank will discount my bill and give. That is not the nuisance bill as we call it. So this was set up. Then the government, a lot of transactions happening in the government, a lot of securities are being sold. So as part of money market reforms, the Clearing Corporation of India was also set up, and the specific task assigned was to ensure there is a clearing of all government security, which are huge. Government takes a lot of loans and they are into thousands of crores. So these were reforms. Then, of course, the RBI, for RBI, one additional fund was created known as Liquidity Adjustment Facility, which basically allowed or permitted RBI to adjust liquidity in the market. Liquidity means, banks take loans. So I take loan in the stock, and certainly the AI can pump the surplus. RBI take the money and take it out, so that the supply and demand are not skewed. So another reform was liquidity adjustment facility was created. Then, just as in the capital market, they brought in technology. In the money market also, they brought in technology, computerization, basically, so that it is systematized and it takes away the secrecy part of it or discretion part of it. So another reform was that electronic dealing system, as we call it. Normally we call it computerization. Electronic dealing system has been commissioned. For what purpose? Again, to ensure transparency and efficiency in the money market transactions. So these are some of the major reforms. Other than this, typically, just as in the capital market, we got debentures, we got equity, private equity, we got venture funds. Similarly, in the money market, we got new instruments like what we call treasury bills of various duration. 82, normally it goes like this: 91 days or 92 days, 180 days, and then maximum is roughly 362 days. Okay. So we had different tenure of treasury bills. Treasury bills are sold by the government, short term. Then there are commercial papers. We also have certificate of deposits. Then, as I said earlier, we had private money market mutual funds. These were the new instruments which have been introduced in the money market as part of reforms. And then, of course, the government also brought in some reform because these are legal transactions. So reform in the money market. Idea was you get more resources. Idea was these resources will be deployed or sold in the market at a price decided by the customer or by the service provider, and the government intervention or RBI intervention will be minimum. There also will be transparency. There also will be integrity. There will not be any what you call hanky panky about it. So technology oriented, so there is transparency and integrity of the system is enhanced and maintained. So these are the basic reforms in the capital market and money market. So these are the basic things which have happened in terms of reforms in the financial sector, banking, insurance, capital market, and money market. Now, if you have got any questions, I'll take those questions. And later on, next session, if we have that, we will talk about the various discuss in the next session if we are going to have it after this. Adnan, we have another session of 40 minutes after this.
Whatever you say, sir.
No, I am game. If you want, we can have it. Choice is yours. You let me know. But just before I stop because we have 5 minutes, 1 minute for me. As I said, there are sub markets. You could see the slide on it. There are sub market, then there are participating institutions, and there are various instruments which are available in the money market. So as you could see, the sub markets are call money market. Then there is treasury bill. Treasury bill is something issued by the government. Then there's a repo market. Repo, you must have heard, RBI basically. Then rediscounting market. Then commercial and trade bills market, usance bills as we call it. Then the certificate of deposits, commercial paper, and of course money market, mutual fund. These are basic sub market. Institutions are, as you could see, there are mostly institutional players in this market. RBI. Then you have Discount and Finance House of India. Of course, commercial banks, major players. Then development financial institutions, DFI, like IDBI was there. Now it's a bank. SIDBI is there, for example. Then you have got investment finance companies like you got LIC, you got mutual funds, like various insurance companies you have. And then of course you got mutual funds, both private as well as the unit trust of India, which is public sector. Then the instruments typically are treasury bills, repos, repo RBI typically. Then you have what is the interbank call money market. Then you got commercial and trade bills. Then you got commercial paper, as I said. Then you got certificate of deposit, and you also have participation PCs, as you call it. So sector reforms, banking, insurance, capital market, and money market, among others, which were launched mostly courtesy Narasimhan Committee and of course Malhotra Committee for the insurance sector part of it. Yeah, if you got any questions, we have got 3 minutes. You got any questions, I could take them. Hello?
Sir, will you be explaining these sub-markets and instruments in detail?
If you want, I would. Otherwise, I have given you a note. If you have received, I have given a detailed handouts about what these instruments are. I suggest you go through this because only reform point of view is important. Detailing, if you go for banking specialization, you'll be discussing all this in detail down the line. If you have any questions about them, you can ask. Okay, I'll just add that this what is known as certificate of deposits are issued by the banks short term, and commercial papers are actually a resource provided to the big corporates who are credit worthy in the market to raise short-term deposit, short-term working funds in the market. So the commercial papers are basically a short-term working capital instrument for the corporates. Commercial trade and bills, I sell something on credit, say 30 days, 40 days, 50 days. So that is known as usance bill. Usance is a period actually, okay? So that is something which is known as commercial or trade bills, hundi normally we call it, hundi as you call it. Then certificate of deposits, for LIC has certainly has 8,000. Then they will go to the bank and bank will say, okay, we'll give you 3%, 4% for these 90 days. That's what they will guarantee. So commercial deposit, certificate of deposit issued, CDs we call them, issued by the banks. Commercial papers by, of course, the corporates. Treasury bills, of course, by the government, and they can be different, 81 or 91 days, 182 days, but they will not be more than 364 days. The government, manages its short-term requirement through treasury bills, and RBI sells it to banks, which again, these become all part of the SLR, the statutory liquidity ratio part of it, approved securities. So these are the short-term instruments used in the money market. They provide short-term returns for parking of fund. I can put them for 1 week, 10 days, 15 days, 1 month. Then I can get money back when I need the money to be deployed in somewhere else. That is how it works like. Okay. Should we stop now?
Yes, sir.
Adnan, if you are having, let me know. You can send me a message either way. If people are comfortable, we can have it. Otherwise, we can always meet next time. That is not an issue. Okay.
We'll meet next week then, because we were supposed to have 2 sessions anyway, right? And we missed the first one. So it's fine. We'll meet
Yeah, I
next
know.
week and we'll start with a new topic
Next
altogether.
time will not mean, because I have made that switch over. So next time, even if the power goes off, we'll be in touch. So ठीक है, then we'll have it next week.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you so much and a good day. Bye.
Bye, sir.
Bye. Take care.
Take care, sir.
Bye. Good day.